I'm going to give you the number one way you can guarantee success in your life. And there's not a whole lot of guarantees in life or in anything. But here, right now, this is a guarantee. If you want success of any kind, whatever you're chasing after, here's a guarantee of how you get it. You got to have clarity on what you're going after, a burning desire to get to it, a willingness to go after it with everything you got at a diligent pace daily, a willingness to be able to daily hustle on it and know that you're going to be knocked down on the way there, willing to get back up, a willingness not to quit, and a willingness to know that you're going to be diligent day after day after day, compounding your efforts, because it's knowing that it's not going to happen overnight. Nothing is get rich quick, and that's why it's worth it, because it's what you do and who you become on the way there, not the thing you obtain. This is the ultimate goal. So right here, let's go into the Rob review in episode 3 of this Wealth Master Plan and really talk about guarantees of success. All right, so today I told you last episode we would talk, and this is titled The One Thing. The thing that all of us need to really grasp to have success. But the one thing is not the same thing for everybody. It's an objective and a mindset, yes, but outside of that, it's the one thing that we all need to understand in order to successfully navigate our path in life, obtain our desire. Everybody has that thing, and there's a book by Gary Keller. It's on my book list. I love it. You should read it. It's titled The One Thing. Everything I'm talking about here today is a subset of what I get from that book, but it's also the understanding of the mindset of success. Because here's the thing: money, monetary success, financial gain, and other things in life that come from that is really not that difficult. It's a very simple process. It's not easy, but it's simple. And so if every financial show, which this is not necessarily a financial show, but if every show that talked about success and finances just gave you the bare minimum foundation, nobody would have anything to talk about, because here's how you get wealthy, right? You make sure that you've got a plan that gets you out of debt and then makes you enough money after you get out of debt so that you have extra coming in so that you can build up a wealth account that you can then invest and over time build up massive quantities of wealth. A story by, I think I read it in a book by Tony Robbins, but there's this guy named Theodore Johnson. He's passed away now, but he was a UPS driver his entire career, never left that job, worked diligently daily, as most Americans should kind of learn to think about life this way. He didn't desire to live on a beach and do nothing, which is a big problem with people that want success, but I digress. Theodore Johnson retired with a wealth in excess of $70 million. And to this day, there are still foundations that are giving money back into the community that he lived and supporting scholarships that he wanted to support with the wealth that he started that's still growing, and they never spend the principal. The reality of it is that guy never made really more than 60, 70, maybe 100 at the most $1,000 a year, and he died with a massive fortune and lived retired with a massive fortune. Why? Because he was diligent. He listened to somebody that told him that you should pay yourself a tax of 15% on your money, and just like you pay the government, no matter whether you can or can't, you pay a tax to the government to live here in America and to drive on these nice streets and all that good stuff, right? Well, you pay a tax to yourself of 15%, so wealth tax. And then you put that away. But you don't let it just sit in an account. Then Theodore Johnson went and figured out the one thing that he was going to be good at in life. Not just UPS managing and driving, but how to invest diligently in the stock market, right? He invested, long story short, grew his fortune. Everything that you should take out of that is the formula to wealth. Knowing and willing and being able to understand that it's going to take a long time, probably longer than you think. Being diligent about that process once you start it, and being disciplined about delayed gratification and continuing the 15% even when it's difficult. So there's your formula. You don't need anything other than that. So then why the heck are you watching the show, and why are we even talking more than just about that? Why aren't we just studying that idea? Because the idea of the formula to do it is simple. The discipline and the mindset and the things that block people from being able to become the person that can manage that kind of money are what we got to get out of the way. Because when you don't fix this, if you ever do get that kind of money, you'll lose it. Or you'll spend the rest of your life hustling and never get there. One or the other. You got to fix this. And that's what the one thing is about, because the lottery effect happens. How many people have you read about, and we talked about it in one of my shows at some point, that won millions of dollars and are now worse off because of it? If that is real, and it is, then there is no way to argue the point that it is not a mental mindset growth piece to wealth. There's no way to say that I don't need to fix me and the things and continually work on me forevermore to make sure that I'm the person that can grow into being a wealthy person. There's no way to argue that point when those stories stand in the world. Just can't. So, that being the case, we need to talk about the one thing that all of us can do to grow into that person. That's why this is episode 3. Now that you understand the foundation and you understand getting debt out of the way, which everybody has to, you can then begin to grow daily while you're working on your debt to make sure that you eventually become the person that can be wealthy. Because understand, folks, both you and I stand in the shoes of, if you were already enough to have it, you'd have it and you wouldn't be chasing after it. See, the one thing is not just a one-word answer or a idea. It's a state of mind and a daily habit to step into shoes that you're not used to filling until they become comfortable, and then you don't think about them anymore. It's stepping out of what like 80 or 90% of the world does on a daily basis, reflecting on yourself and the things everybody else around you does, and becoming literally aware of the thoughts, the things that are said around you, the people and how they act around you, and realizing, this and this and this and this are keeping me from where I want to go. So I need to pull those out and replace them with more positive pieces. The people around you, the thoughts you have in your head, the words you speak out of your mouth about yourself and the people around you, how you plan your day. All those things have to be altered in order for you to come out on the other side a successful person. Now, when you say it that way, it seems like an insurmountable thing. But you start with one day at a time. Just like people that enter sobriety. It's never about a year out in time. It's always about what we can do in this moment, in this breath, and then the next breath, and then the next breath. And then eventually you build up to having a day, and then 2 days. And then eventually you get to where months have gone by and you don't think about it as much. And that's the same idea, but on a positive spin. You have to begin to orientate yourself into thinking about your growth and thinking about how you can put it into your day. So it then becomes a one-track mind on the focus of the results, and the results come by focusing on the grind, the things, the work, not the flash. And we'll get to the things in a minute, but it's all-encompassing. It's maybe turning off the TV and the radio and reading a book that works on your mind. Maybe it's keeping a journal so that you can keep your track of how you spend your time, so that you can figure out where to take out some negative and some wasted time and put in some focused time on working on your goals and the things that are going to get you to where you want to go. The ultimate issue, I think, that most people find as a stumbling block is the dailiness of it. The fact that you can do this for a couple of weeks and it be fun and then it loses its shine. It's the idea of the excitement of the newness of it makes it easy. But then that dies out. The flame of the, oh my gosh, I want to have a piece of this, just kind of the enthusiasm dwanes. And daily life seeps back in. And then what happens? And then you find it harder and harder to find the time that you were looking for to do this thing or that thing that you were doing all in before. But then real life hits you. Some sudden thing out of nowhere happened, and it threw off your schedule. And then day in and day out, it begins to happen more and more. And then before you know it, you haven't done the work that you were doing in a week or more. And then it's like, oh man, it's too much to go back and restart, and you give up. As opposed to knowing, if you start, like I said before in the beginning of this, if you start with the mindset of, I'm going to get knocked down. It's not an if, it's a when. And when I do, I'm going to pick myself up. I'm going to dust myself off. I'm going to step out and pick up from where I was. It's not restarting. It's you stumbled on the path. Now you're getting back on the path, and you're going to walk forward as far as you can before you're going to stumble again. See, success is a progressive realization of a worthy goal, meaning you never actually get there. Meaning, as you go along the way and grow yourself, you have results that change your life. You get the house, you get the car, you get the money, whatever. But you become a person throughout that growth that doesn't care as much about those things and then wants to continue to grow. And you don't become greedy wanting more. You become driven, needing more to feed your growth, to feed your positive, forward-looking mindset. And so you never actually obtain, because every time you hit, you set another one and another one. That's why it's the progressive realization. That's why you must start in a mindset of, I'm going to grind and do this for the rest of my life, and I'm going to be focused not on the results, but on the trackable work. And then when I get wins, when I get results, I'm going to celebrate, and I'm going to go right back into work. And then I'm going to enjoy the growth of myself, and that's going to be more of the reward than anything. All right, we're a good bit into this. See, it takes time, and it takes time to grow into and figuring out that one thing that you're going to really hone in on. Because, see, the idea of the one thing is a mindset. But then the getting to the one thing is individualistic. Because, for example, everybody, if you go back and study successful people like I do constantly, they all have that thing they're known for, that thing they're good at. And what the outer world doesn't see is the inner work that they spend on that thing daily. Warren Buffett, great example, reads 12 hours a day. Does he read cartoons and, graphic novels? No. He reads stuff that helps him have an edge in being the best daggone investor alive. The guy that taught me the stock market, he didn't start out being a stock market success, but he knew when he was young that he wanted to be wealthy. And he had that in the back of his mind as he went through life. He stumbled, he had some really hard times, but then along the way he eventually found the one thing that was going to be his ticket to getting the success he wanted out of life. And then when he found that thing, he didn't say, okay, well, now I'm going to get into real estate and I'm going to do all these other things and I'll do the stock market as well. No, he literally daily tasked himself with working on how to get better at the stock market. How do I make money in the stock market? Reading books on the stock market. You notice that there's a similarity there between him and Warren Buffett. It's because Warren Buffett was a mentor of his. So it starts with studying and figuring out what's out there. And then pulling books, like the books on my book list, to then begin to reflect on yourself and figuring out what really defines success for me. What am I really after? And if I only had one life to live, which you do, and this is not a trial run, what do I really want it to mean? And it's never going to be, and see, movies get this wrong all the time, and they really throw us off. It's never going to be a aha moment, I don't believe, where you just found it and then you're going to go for it kind of thing. It's going to be a progressive change of you're going to search for something and it's going to be, I'm going to go after this thing. And then as you go after it, it's going to mold into something new. But all along, at some point, you are going to literally stumble by working and then pick yourself up and figure out, okay, wait a minute, that thing right there, that thing I find passion in, I'm good at to some degree. That thing I'm going to learn everything I can about. And that is going to be your one thing that you're going to then use to excel in, become an expert in, get highly, highly paid in. And then outwardly motivate people through. And then that's how the success ball turns in your favor. The compounding effect has rolled the ball up the hill. It's on the mountain. And now you've got it going down and the momentum's in your favor. And you're beginning to pay the price for success. And at some point, for everybody it's different. And nobody knows but God when your point is. You're going to have paid the price for success. And you're going to then be able to reap the rewards once the price is paid. But in order to get to the paid price, what do you have to do? Here's some action steps we're going to get into in a minute. But you have to ultimately have the faith and be in the thing and know that, one, I'm going to work daily and diligently. I'm going to grow and work on myself above all. The thing that I'm going to do that's going to provide the monetary and financial success, or the thing that I'm going to do that's going to get a name out there for me, is going to be part of my daily grind that I'm going to diligently compound the effort in. And all that together, plus this thing, the no quit clause. No more excuses. Right now you're seeing a picture on your screen of two gentlemen. As you can see, one on the top is picking as hard as he can at the ground, running towards the diamonds. And the one at the bottom has just about broken through to all he has sought for, all the way back through that tunnel he's been digging in. But he didn't get to the results that he thought he should get to in the timely manner that he thought it should be in. And he gave up. The other guy pushed that little bit further and got there. However, neither one of them know when that point is, because they can't see behind that veil. So, does the other guy have information the guy below him doesn't? No. The one above him is not focused on a time frame. He's not focused on results. He's not focused on, I've got to have this tangible thing in my hand, and if I don't, then I haven't succeeded. Because when you think about it from that point, you can get in a mode of, I'm failing, and then you start to listen to everybody around you that's telling you, hey, you're wasting your time. You're never going to make it. You're in the wrong thing. Everybody's already had success, and you need to leave it alone, and or you're not meant to. All these negative things that go into life, no matter what you're working at, when people figure out you're chasing a dream that's beyond what they can fathom. And if you are giving yourself a time limit of, I'm going to obtain this thing at this moment, when that point passes and you don't have it, you're going to feel like you failed. And you're going to listen to all that stuff, and you're going to be at a weak point in your life. And surely at that time, you're going to be tested like never before, and your faith's going to be wholly shaken. And that's going to be the point at which you get knocked down and don't get back up. Because surely, as I am breathing, I believe that when we set time limits for these things, the God that operates the universe laughs, and he says, well, I'm not going to let you have it at that point. Surely. And I'm going to see if you really are faithful in your desire to obtain what you want, to see if you push through it. So don't set time limits. Now, am I saying you shouldn't set goals? No. It's different. It's not saying if I start this business, and if I don't achieve X level in this business or X dollars in this business in 10 years, then I'm going to give up and go do something else. That's what I'm saying you shouldn't do. Because here's what happens when you do that. It's the wrong mindset approach, and everything's wrong from the start. As opposed to you working diligently on yourself and trying to discover that one thing. And when you find it, you say, I'm just going to do this for the rest of my life. No matter what happens, no matter the results, I'm going to grind at it unless I get it or I die trying. And that's a really hard thing for a lot of people to grasp, because we're all brought up in this mentality, especially in school, of you do X amount of work and you get X results to be displayed on your refrigerator. Or you go to work and you do X amount of dollars and you get you do X amount of work and you get X amount of pay at the end of the week or at the end of the month. That mindset has trained you in a way that is subservient to the people that it's trained you in a way that's keeping you from actually fulfilling your full potential, because you always stop short and you never step out of your boundaries. And I'm closing in on time here. I'll tell you a short story of the power of stepping out of your boundaries. I didn't intend to go here, but I'm going to go here. So many people have built giant companies or become presidents that never intended to be, because they worked and they found their one thing and they stepped outside of their comfort zone and they changed the world. I was a 19-year-old kid struggling to find my place. And I was working at a swing shift rotation factory, more hours than I think God should allow anybody to work. And I was just zombified and dead all the time. And I didn't know how to move forward without getting out of that environment. But getting out of that environment, ladies and gentlemen, was actually counterintuitive to everything that everybody thought was smart around me. Because there was a great job, it was better money than I'd ever seen in my life. It was a place where you could stay for the rest of your life. And other than die from lack of sleep, never really work that hard. I mean, those guys work hard, but once your body gets used to something, it becomes, over time, not a challenge. Anybody that's done anything for 3 years or more understands that at that point you've pretty much seen everything you're going to see in that career, right? Well, I was getting to that point, and I decided to drop it all and step outside my comfort zone, not to chase a dream. That's hogwash if I thought that at the time, because I didn't know what my dream was. So how was I going to chase it? I was just stepping outside of my comfort zone because something told me, you're meant for something different. And long story short, because I stepped out of that comfort zone, I lost everything. The person that I had a kid with at the time stopped talking to me. I had nowhere to live, had to move back in with my parents. It was not a fun time. And I felt like a complete failure. But because I stepped out of my comfort zone, I'm not 31 working at the same place. I'm 31 running a TV station, a documentary filmmaker, successful in the stock market, successful talking to you. Why am I successful? Because the world determines it? No. Because I am running after the progressive realization of my goal. So I'm successful. And I've got the most incredible wife in the world. And I'm doing a thing that is my one thing, which is taking and recognizing the patterns and stories and things and sharing them with people that they can make an impact in. And all that, folks, I would not have. Today, I literally would have nothing and you would not be seeing me. I cannot stress that enough. I would be nowhere closer to feeling better about my life if I had not stepped out on faith. There's a lot more to this one thing. And so for those of you that know where to find it, I'm going to do more teaching on this. But next week, we're going to step into, or not next week, the next time you see this lesson, because we're airing each of these Wealth Master Plan episodes for 2 weeks. The next time you see us, we're going to talk about your network is less important. Your net worth is less important than your network. We're going to talk about the power of your network in the next episode. Buy the book, The One Thing. Do some strategizing. And step outside and get to work. Because I believe that everything that you feel inside of you, that desire you feel inside of you, whatever that is that you feel you should go after, I believe you're meant to have it. And I believe you can have it. I'm your friend in success, Robert Morris here. I'm here for you, and I want to help you. Let's make this happen. Let's make your dreams come true together.